Welcome to Measurably Better Learning, the podcast built for learning and development professionals. Whether you're an instructional designer, L&D professional, or corporate leader, get ready for insights and ideas that will transform your approach to learning, training, and development. So let's dive in.
Well, welcome to the Measurably Better Learning podcast, and I am Miriam Taylor here with my frequent and regular co-host, Dr. Jerry Zandstra. Today we're diving into a skill that I would say we all acknowledge as important, but we don't always practice. So it's the art of listening, which, that spans really a life. But in this case, we're talking about in the context of corporate learning.
Yeah.
And so we talk about this as it can be, if it's done right, like almost a superpower of a learning team. If you are, working with internal divisions, or maybe you're working with external clients. So why is listening so important, Jerry? Especially because, we're always talking about AI and we always have like flashy new things. Listening doesn't seem very new. So why is it so important?
Practically speaking, if you've ever had a conversation with somebody who is truly listening to you, it's profound.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's rare.
Yes.
That the idea that I'm hearing you, yes, you're speaking words, they're sound waves, they're going, right? But not just perceiving what you're saying, but watching body language, watching your facial expressions. And we can call it a different thing that maybe will resonate better, seeking to understand another.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And it's a thing that most people don't come to naturally. And we've all been in those conversations. There's 3 or 4 people and somebody is talking. And if you look around at the other faces, all they're doing is thinking about the next thing they're going to say. They're not going to respond to what's being said. They're not processing and asking a question for clarification or making a counterpoint or whatever. They're simply thinking about the next thing they're going to say. But I challenge everybody to think, and you can probably think of people in your lives who were excellent listeners. And my grandparents excelled at it. One of the reasons why, and all the emotion that comes from being listened to, I felt deeply loved, cared for, respected. My grandparents were way older than me, obviously, but I felt like I was the only person in the room.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a quick story. I went. I was in another city, and I was in the office of a very large corporation, and I wasn't there to meet with the CEO. I was there to meet with his learning team, and I happened to walk by his office. I didn't even know he was in town, and he saw me walk by his office, and he said, "Come here." I said, "No. I'm not. I can't imagine the demands."
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Right.
the story. He said, "No. Sit down. And he closed his laptop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, you don't need to disrupt your day. And he said, and again, it was profound to me. He said to me, right now, you're the most important person in the world to me. So let's just talk. Is it okay if we just talk? And it's been more than a decade ago, and I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
And I wish I were better at it, but I think it's a superpower because it has profound impact, and it's not just a power, it's a superpower because it's rare.
It is rare.
And I wish more of us, and I wish that for myself. And I think I'm getting better as I get older. I try to be more intentional about it. But it is really profound in a very general way, apart from learning just in life, to learn to listen to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was not thinking ahead about how I was going to respond. I was listening to you.
So you don't have any follow-up
I
questions?
don't. No.
Yeah.
Now I need a second. No. I completely agree with that, and I too have been in situations where you knew somebody was listening and you knew someone wasn't. But so that's absolutely a really important life skill. But for our listeners who are, saying, "Oh, that's great, squishy,
Love it.
whatever,"
Right.
but you have no idea what my job is like every day.
Right.
Can you help us kind of translate that to, a learning team who's super busy? They've got program developments, meetings back to back. They're meeting with stakeholders. They're trying to meet the demands of getting projects done. How how do they try and implement, like, how can they do that on their team?
Even in all those meetings, and listening intently is work.
It is work.
We've all sat in meetings, and I walked out of there. I've no more information than I did when I walked in. I don't understand anything better, right? It was a meeting. I went through it, whatever.
And maybe I even sent out 3 or 4 emails while we
Yeah,
were sitting
I
there.
know you're going to send me a follow up because I'm not listening, but it's an intense thing to do, and it creates a culture.
Mm.
You
Mm.
create other listeners when you listen to people, and when you intently listen with empathy and care, and you really work at it, you can change an entire organization. You can change an entire team. And so I get it. People's lives are busy. In the busyness,
Mm.
learn the techniques of not letting all the other thoughts in your mind control, or thinking about what am I going to say next, but to truly be in the moment and truly listen. And it doesn't matter if it's a learning team or a quality team or whatever kind of team it is. But if you want to create an incredibly loyal, supportive learning team, and that's not even talking about learners,
Right.
just your own internal team. I don't know how you'll create that without learning to listen well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And we're talking about really changing behavior here because I'm practicing it all the time.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to take a look, I think, at how is this going to impact the effectiveness of my learning team if we can create that culture?
Yeah, love it.
Imagine a world where every training session, every learning module, and every translated document is aligned with your company's unique goals and global ambitions. Welcome to Ingenuity, where we don't just talk about elevating your corporate learning, we make it happen. At Ingenuity, we understand the heart of your business is its people. That's why we specialize in creating custom learning solutions and translation services that are not just effective, but are designed specifically for your business's global needs. Let us show you how learning cannot be just better, but measurably better, with solutions tailored just for you. Learn more in the description below.
Well, welcome back. And as we talked earlier, listening is a learned behavior.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of practice. Sometimes we do it better than others. But if we can start to create that culture on our learning team, for our listeners, those that are leading teams, or even a part of a team, you can always model
Mhm.
those things. What are some ways that really improves the effectiveness of your learning team as you're either going about your daily work or you're interacting on projects with other divisions or departments?
Yeah, I think one of the key ways is it shows that you value other people.
Mm. Yeah. Mhm.
There's something profoundly human about being listened to.
Mhm.
And if people don't listen to you, they clearly don't care about you.
Mhm.
If they listen deeply to you, and so I really think it starts between two people
Hmm.
listening to
Okay.
one another.
Yeah.
And I think then it can be you listening to a group, and you'll find that other people are listening, and learning, and you're really modeling it for her,
Mhm.
showing them how to do that. Um, and I think after a while you can build a culture in a team, but I think it can be expanded on to learners. I mean, oftentimes we always say, right, in the learning world that, one of the bad things that we've been is just order takers.
Mhm.
Somebody else is going, here's your plate of food. We resent that.
We do.
Learners resent it too.
They do. Absolutely.
When they go,
Yeah,
here's your plate of learning. Go find someplace and go
good
eat
luck.
this." Right.
Mhm.
Good luck. And actually seeking out and
Mm.
getting rid of defensiveness,
Mhm.
getting rid of, yeah, but don't do that. Take in the information
Mm.
and ask clarifying questions. Don't necessarily play defense. Playing defense is not listening. It's an argument.
It's not. It is definitely an argument.
And so I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
seeking out
Yeah.
the input of a variety of people. Don't just ask people and listen to people who think the same way you
Mhm.
do, or learn the same way you do, or appreciate the same things you do. Some of the most valuable learning experiences I've ever had is when I meet somebody whose life is totally different than
Right.
mine, and their expertise is, it doesn't matter what their degree is, or or even with their job, just learning about somebody else's life. It communicates value, and I think we can really communicate value to learners. And the next time they take something, they're going to remember the time that you spent with them asking them, and that value spreads and broadens out in an organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If the user experience is great, and we've seen that with some of our clients where we've helped them sort of redesign things, the feedback they get from the learners is, this is amazing. This is so great. And so then there's this groundswell of excitement. People are more willing to be involved to give their opinion, but also to take the next series or whatever it is. And for the learning team and whoever your stakeholder was, that makes them look good, right? So then they're able to, to drive more. And it all starts from both listening to the stakeholders' needs and a needs assessment, really listening, not coming with some prepackaged thing we're going to deliver.
Really great or only great?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And like you said, listening to the learner. So yeah, I think we've talked a lot too, and like in a global company, like you said, getting out, listening to stakeholders in other countries, in other cultures, and actually building those relationships so that we can better inform the design is important.
And I think also it communicates something to listen. You have to create a bit of a safe space. I'm not, digging at you for information I can use later. I'm not immediately judging. I might later. I might think about it and come back and go, I'm not sure that's right. Or I thought about it and this kind of bugs me. But if you're truly empathetically listening and trying to take the perspective of the other person, there are marvelous insights to be gained. They'll sense that. And then they will share with you things that they might not share if they don't feel like this is a safe place to share this. So, and I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, I agree completely. We talk a lot about psychological safety and whatever the buzzword is, but at the end of the day, to your point, it's because we value that person and we're going to give them, like I said, we might have to make judgment calls later, but in the moment we are listening honestly to what they have to say.
I'm not, when I'm really listening hard, I'm not condoning or condoning.
Right, exactly.
I'm trying, again, back to I'm seeking to understand. I might come back later and say, that's awesome. Or I might come back later and say, I think I have a problem with that. And we need to talk more about it. Maybe I'm missing something. But it's not affirmation in the moment of whatever's being shared, but it's certainly not condemnation in the moment either. So,
yeah. Well, thank you, Jerry, for your thoughts here. I mean, this is really important topic, something that I think is foundational to all the work that we do. So thank you for sharing.
You bet.
Before we wrap up the show, if you're looking to dive deeper, we've got tons of free downloads, L&D resources, and details about upcoming webinars that you won't want to miss. They're found in the episode description. Plus, if you ever want to chat with either one of us, now's your chance. You can find links in the episode description to connect directly with Miriam or me. We're here to answer your questions and to discuss all things learning and development. And speaking of questions, we love hearing from you. Whether it's a question or a comment or a topic you're curious about, or if you just want to join the conversation, drop us a comment on your favorite social media channel. Your input shapes our shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. It's the best way to ensure you never miss out on our latest episode. We're excited to continue to transform learning into a measurable success with you. Until next time.